So if we're trying to make a Google form here, first thing you go to My Drive. So you can just in Google on your computer type in My Drive and it'll take you there. It'll be the first link. You go to your drive, click on the new button right here, and it won't come up in the first one. So you got to go to More, and here's Google Forms, and we just click on that. It'll bring up a brand new one. In this case here, there's a couple of specific settings that you might want to do here. The first one, obviously you want to change the name of it, so whatever you want to name it. And you can add a description if you want to. You probably don't have to if you're just looking for an email address, but you can, type in whatever questions you want, name. Eventually, like if you put certain things in, it'll automatically change the answer type. So you can pretty much just add as many as you want here. You just keep adding questions on the right-hand side. So you can do name, email, whatever that you might need. When you're done, in this case here, a lot of the time, especially if you're doing email, there'll be like a response validation that they can create. And basically, if they don't type in a valid email address, it'll pop up with like a little error message. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. Once you have all that set up, a couple things I would just double check is the name will change up here from the top. There's a little settings bar here. You probably don't need to click email addresses because you'll be logged in on your own email address and you're just going to be having them on the iPad or whatever typing in their email address. So you'll probably want to unclick that one. You probably won't have this option here. This is just my school one. And you definitely don't want to limit to one response. Here's the one thing is that you can have them collect email address set up. If you want, you can then, let me see here. Where is it? So if you make it, I'm trying to think here what the best way of doing this is. If you make this a quiz, this will allow them, you can basically make it so that whenever they hit the send button or the submit, it will send them an email and it'll tell them like what they've submitted. I don't think you can add a message to this, which is what you were kind of talking about before. So I'm not quite sure the best way to solve that problem, but if you did make it a quiz, there's a way to make it send them an email if you have this collect email address piece on. If you have the collect email address thing checked, it'll automatically have one of those questions in there asking for an email address. If you see now, I know we created this one called email, but it has the email address piece right here. So change that however you want. You can kind of mess around with that. Once you're done with everything, you hit the little send button. This is where like you can send it directly to someone if you wanted to, but if you click on this little link piece here, and then I always just shorten it to make it as easy as possible, and then copy this. That is what you on your iPad, so what I'd actually recommend is copying this link and sending it to your email. That way when you're on your iPad, like I'd create it on your computer, and then when you're on your iPad, that's when you go to your email, click on the link, and then it will take you to the form to fill out. So a couple things. First of all, this is the view that it looks like when someone's filling it out. You see that there's the email address and that's required. And that one here, this is where people are putting in their email address. So Kyle Riddle 05, whatever they're putting in. Then that automatically did it for me. But when you're done, when they're done, again, I don't know if you're going to have both of these or just one of these, but they'll hit submit. And you can actually change what the response is, or you can have click the submit another response, and that's what you'll do after they've submitted it so that the next person can sign in. I'm going to go back to the other tab here that I still had open from before. You can make these required here if you want them to make sure that they have their name, and you can add whatever you need to. When you're in the settings, the presentation, your confirmation message, this is what you can put whatever you want if you want them to read something after they've submitted it. But again, it's going to be on your iPad, so probably not the best way to get them information. The other thing is that when you are done, or if you need to change something, you realize midway, if you hit this little edit this form button at the bottom right, it will take you back to where you can edit it. Once you're done editing, Then you can go to this responses piece right here. This is where you can see responses, and then at the top right here, this is where you can create the spreadsheet. It'll create a new thing in your Google Drive that you can look at, and that's where it will list out all the answers of the people that submitted it. So again, this is the answers or the questions that I created right here. This is the one that automatically asks for an email address. So however you want to set it up. Hope this helps, and good luck.